But welcome, Olivia, to the Diet Starts Monday podcast.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for coming all this way. I've been really excited for this one ever since we came across each other. Shout out Jarvis, my mate in Mauritius, for connecting us, and Jamie.
Laka.
But since I came across your profile and my partner Lauren was talking to me after we met, it's super interesting. The CrossFit Nurse. You are our first CrossFit athlete on the podcast. So that's super cool. And our first nurse. And probably our only ever CrossFit nurse. So
It's a first.
I'm looking forward to, diving into the CrossFit industry. We've never really spoken about it. We've been, like we were talking about earlier, endurance, and it's just been what we've been doing. So we've been just focusing on, speaking to people that are in the same industry. But I love the look and feel of CrossFit, high rocks. So I'm so keen to get into it. But enough for me. Tell me where you're from. Let's get to know you a little bit.
Hi. Thank you for having me firstly. I'm Olivia Tompkins, CrossFit Nurse, coined by my dad, Olivia Tompkins. I'm from Devon. So Devon is right down on the south coast.
Beautiful there, though.
The UK, yeah. Devon is heaven. That is the catch line. I love home. Home for me is a very special place in my heart, like probably everyone, but Devon is beautiful. And then I moved up to London to go to university. So when I was like 17, I flew the nest, as my dad calls it. And I came up to London to study adult nursing at City University. And then I never went home. So I've been in London now for 11 years this year, 10 years just gone.
Okay.
And I was always like, you never know where London's going to take you. But there are so many opportunities here and it just never took me back to home. So I turn 30 this year.
Okay, nice.
And yeah, I've just been...
Time flies.
It does fly, especially up in London.
Yeah.
And I've been here, studied, and now I work, and train. Now I just found my people, my everything here in London. But, you never know where you're going to end up.
So before we get into that, talk to me. So it was always nursing. I mean, when you were growing up, going to school, you went to uni to study in that particular... What drew you to that?
Well, my dad, I feel like my dad's quite traditional. He's very much like, nursing's a great career because you're always going to have a job and you're always going to have money and you're always going to have a wage. I went through a stage of wanting to be a physio, which probably suits a bit more me now.
Yeah.
But, I did go through like a little, maybe I'll be a physio. And then my dad was like, what's a physio? It's just nurses and doctors. It was always sort of nursing. I did a medical placement, sort of to see whether I wanted to do medicine or nursing, and I honestly sucked at chemistry.
Okay.
Chemistry was not, it was bad. Biology, like all of those sciences, great, but actual chemistry, you had to get a good grade, and I did not. And I just sort of always went towards the side of looking after people. My dad was like, you're very caring, you're very good with people. And so I guess I was always just pushed towards nursing, caring for people, and that's how I sort of thought, okay, well, yeah, nursing is a great job. You always have to earn money. And my dad always made like this joke being like, and then you can look after me when I'm older. And I was like, oh.
And how is he doing now? Probably 100%.
He's great. Okay. Thank God, touch wood.
So he doesn't need you. Yeah.
He doesn't need me. Not yet. I just shout at him for cholesterol and high blood pressure.
Well, now that you're in the know, then you can keep watching him.
I am in the know.
Yeah. And tell me the sporting side. Were you always quite sporty at school and uni, or?
So as a child, and through like secondary school and primary school, I wouldn't say I was the most sporty. I definitely shied away from sports. I was not a typical, I wasn't athletic. You looked at me and it would be like, oh, she's a bit chubby. My dad always would be like, she's big boned. I had a bit.
That's what I used to get told as well.
Yeah. And then my uncle would like chime in with like, yeah, she's built like a brick, like S house, and I like rude. And I'd be like, oh, great. And like she likes her food and all this stuff. So I definitely sort of grew up with this sort of like very idea that I was not the right build, and if I was right build, it would be a rugby player and all this stuff. And I was quite a big girl anyway, and like tall for my age. And yeah, I did like my food, but I sort of didn't go towards sport in the early part of my life. And then when I went to secondary school, I sort of found netball, and I really loved netball. So I played netball from year 6 all the way through to the end of university, actually. So I became netball captain in university, and I did quite a lot with the netball community as well when I was at uni. So it was really cool. That was probably what I really loved doing, finding a sport that I loved, like the community side, more than just the game, like the girls that you played with. It was like a sense of team, and I really loved that.
Yeah, the on and off the field, I guess.
Yeah, like you always had, you know, friends, and with sport comes team camaraderie, and you just had all of that with netball, I found.
And I suppose that links to CrossFit, because I have this image of CrossFit and the community, and when I watch everything on social media and stuff, it's not a team sport, but like it is.
Yeah.
It's like very much so a team sport. Like you have your team cheering you on, but you individually compete. Am I wrong to say that?
Yeah, so you individually compete, and you can actually compete in a team.
Okay.
But yeah, usually the big guys and girls, they compete on their own, but you have big dogs that compete in teams. So it's 2 females, 2 males. And I think that, yes, the sport is so low in terms of like what discipline you decide to do, individual, like male, female, or team, but you just train as it's like your community. Yeah, it's your community.
So before we dive into that, so how did you find CrossFit? Like, were you nursing and then you just needed a sort of like...
Yeah, so I went to university, and like I said, I didn't do CrossFit at all, and I just played sports. And with sports at university, you sort of fall into like, you know, you've got your gym, and then you all gym together, and I liked going to the gym, and so I sort of started going to the gym outside of uni, and I found like Fitness First, and then with Fitness First, I found like fun places like Cobox, and I would go to like Cobox and One Rebel and all of these and BXR classes, which was dotted around London. London is such a haven for...
I've been to some of the boxing ones, the BXR and stuff, and all those type of things.
Yeah, and I think London is such a haven for like so many good facilities for functional fitness, and so many good places that you can just go and let off steam and do a sway workout, and Barry's and all these places. But I loved going to like Cobox, so I had sort of this big draw to boxing, and it was like boxercise, so it's like Barry's and boxing put together. So you've got like no tread, so it's nothing like Barry's, but basically it's like floor work, bag work, and you go between 2 and you get really
Barry's?
sweaty. Barry's is treadmills and floor.
Okay.
So on the floor, you've got like your free weights, you have like your...
It's like Sweat 1000 for us in South Africa. So you get on the treadmill, you sprint, and then you come off and you do the leg with small weights.
Yeah.
So,
Whatever the trainer decides in the room, it's like their setup, their go, how they do
and
it.
the music's loud and the
it's
pushing.
like a club.
Yeah,
it's like a real fun environment. It's like a club. And I did Cobox. And when I say I did Cobox, I literally was #1 Cobox queen girl. Like I was there every waking moment. I don't even know when I look back at how I had time to go to university.
Because
I was honestly, I was like, woo! On placement as like a student nurse, doing Cobox. Like, so basically, fast forward, I just had COVID. I just had Cobox in my life, and I had Cobox, and I was going to the gym, and then sort of within this fitness scene in London that was moving quite like, you know, it's like new things were happening, and Instagram was happening, and there was lots of emphasis on meeting up and trying new things, and like, oh, my friend goes to Barry's, I'm going to go to Barry's and do a workout with them. Oh, my friend goes to Cobox. Like, all that sort of stuff was cool. And so I got invited, by like an Instagram message from Dan Williams, who owned WIT at the time. Thanks, Dan. He actually lives in Barnes. Shout out to Dan Williams. He always says that I slid into his DM, but he slid into my DMs. It was totally professional. It was just like it was like a, hey Liv, like you look like you would love to come and try WIT, and we would love to have you down. WIT stands for whatever it takes. It was a flagship CrossFit training space, as well as a place that sold CrossFit merchandise from all different brands. So it was like in one place.
Was CrossFit quite big at this point? Or was it still coming into the scene a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, CrossFit has been big in its own sense, especially in the US. It's real big.
Yeah.
But I'd say, London, I honestly hadn't heard of what a CrossFit box was, so I couldn't even say like, oh yeah, like I've seen that this place is good. But WIT was my first experience of CrossFit.
Okay.
And honestly, from speaking to lots of other people and knowing that WIT, what it was in its like prime, it was the best space. It was incredible. I just got invited down to do this workout. I walked into this gym, which honestly, if you've ever been to a CrossFit box, it can be quite intimidating. Like it's got an empty space with a rig in the middle. We call it a rig. It's just like a poles where it's got bars along it and racks. And that's it really. And then just the machines that are like dotted around the sides.
Yeah.
And basically you're in that space and it's like, it's big, it's like...
It's intimidating. I've walked into one and you see everyone, and I think it's because you're such a community and you're pushing each other, like to enter the community as like a newbie is quite scary.
Yeah, and like I just remember entering WIT and being like, wow, the lights, the signs, it was just like, oh my goodness. And I went to do like a staff session. So when I went, they were just like, yeah, just come down and you can try this session. And when I walked in, I instantly saw like there was one CrossFit athlete who was visiting, and Megan Lovegrove, she's amazing. And she's just these women who I've never seen body types like these women before. Like big women, strong women, like working out, lifting weights, doing the same workouts as guys, just like pound for pound. And like, it was just amazing. And I just took one look and I was like, I think I'm never going to leave. And here we are. Same
gym. Like 7 years later.
Yeah, well, they closed last year, which is, it was real tough. That was last year was a really difficult year in terms of a lot of change. WIT closed its doors and obviously then the community disbanded, and now I'm a part of CrossFit One More Rep, which is catapulted my training. It's catapulted my love for...
Is this in Islington?
Fitness. It's in Hoxton.
Okay, Hoxton. Okay.
Hoxton, yeah. CrossFit One More Rep. It's owned by a Brazilian man and his wife, and they're two friends, and they're all like family. We're all basically family.
Amazing.
I even have learned to speak Portuguese because eu falo português.
That's cool. Okay, but I want to, so for the layman or the non-CrossFit, you did a competition last weekend.
Yes.
So walk us through like what you're doing in that competition, like what's the sets or how does it work?
Okay, so the competition we did last week was Strength in Depth Origins, which has been going for a long time. It's teams of 12. So within gyms, it's like it's like all the gyms across the UK can enter, and they submit a 12-man team. And before you even get to the competition, you have to do 3 qualifiers.
Oh, wow.
And so it sort of looks like a qualifier of all 12 people, but split maybe into 2, qualifier where you're split into 4, and then a qualifier where you split into pairs, and then all the scores come together and you're ranked on a leaderboard. And this year is like 121 teams.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we qualified in 9th, which is great. So even before we get to the comp, you know, like you're seeded. You're looking at the other gyms and you're like, oh God, like how's their training going? How's our training going? Like it's fun. It's like, it just gives this like fun sense.
Yeah.
And then when you get to the competition, this competition in particular is 2 days. So over Saturday and Sunday. And it was in Birmingham, so you travel, you like get your accommodation. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's
like the whole jewel.
It's like going going on tour. And then when you get there, you're given the workout. So this is another thing, like you train as a team. So we've been training in this team like every weekend for about 2 months. Well, at CrossFit One More Rep, we're really unique, I would say. We all train under the same program.
So you all kind of channeling towards the same goal.
Yeah, or to the effect of you're all training towards like your next competition. And because at One More Rep we train as team, like there's more strong team ethos. Because
so you don't just walk in and like have a session for the day. Like
you can, yeah, definitely you can. But where's the fun in that?
No, I mean I get it. Yeah.
So no, people have their own programs. People train under different like coaching providers and things, but say you walk into One More Rep and you want to do an open gym, you'll probably be met by like all of us who are just training for something in particular, and like we're just getting involved, and we all train the same sort of program. And that's just purely because the owners have been to the quarterfinals. They've been to like they've
seen what
they've
it's
been
like.
quite high in CrossFit, and so they went as a team.
Okay.
And that's sort of their like thing,
Yeah,
which is really unique, to be honest. It's great. But this competition in particular, you've geared up towards it. You've like been training, and then basically, you get the workouts the week before. Unfortunately, they got
the specific exercises that you got to do.
The actual events, yeah. So there was 11 events, including a final.
And how many could there be? Like 50 or like
12.
No, I'm saying
6.
like that they could choose from. Is it endless?
They can choose however many they want.
Okay. Duration.
So this is what CrossFit's all. There's different types of WODs, we call them, workouts of the day.
Okay.
So we call them WODs. WODs. Everything is abbreviated.
Okay.
So you could have different types of WODs. You can have like, it doesn't matter the duration. You could have one WOD which is 1K for time. And I've actually done a competition where it's like 1 mile for time.
So that ties into high rocks, I guess, because it's 1 minute per set. But yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
It's sort of not similar. So yeah, you could have like whatever it is. So you could have 12 events, let's put it for like plainly 12 events, and in every event there's a different workout and a different workout style, different amount of people that participate, different setup, different everything. So it's a lot of strategy involved as well. There's a lot of team, there's a lot of communication. A lot of things that go wrong is to do with communication and like forgetting things and going to do something and you've realised that it's not your bit to go or whatever, and you're just like, ah!
Yeah.
But usually it's go as hard as you can, as fast as you can, as good as you can, as technical as you can, like, and as smooth as you can. We have this thing which is like, smooth is as fast as smooth and smooth as... Oh, I can't even remember. Oh, that's really embarrassing. Smooth is fast and fast is smooth. No. Something about being slow and smooth and steady.
If it comes back to you, you can bring it back in.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the format. So you have like, over 2 days, you do 6 events and a final, which is included within the event. So 6 and 5 is how it was. And yeah, they're a mixture of cardio, weights and endurance and gymnastics.
That's what you said earlier. A little bit of everything.
Just everything.
Yeah. Because I wanted to
constantly varied, functional
training.
Well,
you mentioned earlier
executed under high intensity.
You mentioned earlier functional training, that London was so good for functional training, and obviously it's not really the best for like a triathlete because we want to be outside, cycle, run. So that you make a good point though, and I suppose that's what works for London is all these indoor training facilities and the ability to build these like rage centers where you can go train and do something inside that kind of takes your mind away from you know the outside. But I want to dive into the cardiovascular, and this is going to touch a little bit on your nursing. So did you go into CrossFit obviously knowing how the benefit it has for your heart and your cardiovascular system? On the back of all your, because nursing came first.
Yeah, nursing, it came first. It should be Olivia Tompkins Nurse CrossFit
Person.
But that just doesn't ring. Yeah, nursing is still my primary like source of income and my career. So I've always specialised in cardiology. So I went to I work in a leading cardiac hospital.
Cardiothoracic.
I started doing like cardiothoracic rotation when I was like newly qualified for 18 months, and then I specialised in like a congenital side of our hospital, which means people who are born with heart conditions and who later on in life develop complications. They have to come in, heart failure, all of these things. And then that was ward-based, and then COVID happened. And
one of my questions was what it was like during COVID. We want to dive into that, but
yeah, I worked through... I sort of got offered a unique position as a CNS, which is like a clinical nurse specialist, as a maternal health, congenital maternal clinical nurse specialist, which is very, very niche, I would say. And very high banded. It would elevate me to a band 7. And
what do you mean by band 7?
So you're banded within nursing. So it goes from a band 3 healthcare assistant all the way to like band 4 still healthcare assistant, or a nursing assistant I think they're called now, and then registered nurses start at band 5. So, and within those bands you have different like levels, 5A, 5B and 6. And
so there's a ranking system.
There is a ranking system, yes, which my dad would just be like, she's a sister, and I'm like and my dad's like, when are you going to be a matron?
I've got a great picture of your dad since we started talking. Like
yeah,
his traditional
he's exactly
art.
this. Yeah, he's exactly what you're picturing. But honestly, the whole nursing thing rank. Yeah, so it would be go band 7, or I was like, you could go to ICU and be a band 5 again. Because in ICU you're so specialist that band 5 is actually still more senior than a ward-based sort of nurse in our hospital anyway. So I've always wanted to do ICU. It's somewhere, ICU is intensive care unit, just for people listening if you don't know. And I've always wanted to do ICU. It's my like calling, I feel.
Why is that?
As a student nurse, it was just the area that I really felt made me feel connected to being a nurse. I think it can be really difficult to feel connected to being a nurse because there is so much more stuff in the background of nursing. To be a nurse, I feel like you have to have a level of deep care, empathy, understanding of people, but also not to forget that we are professionals. We've gone to university for 3 years. We've done extra university courses outside of this to develop knowledge and understanding of the human body, anatomy, physiology. We're not just there to do a classic run around after doctors or yes or no, or get shouted at by people and get swallowed up by a system which unfortunately is just overcrowded, underfunded, and doesn't offer the support needed for the healthcare professionals within there.
So is it still like that too?
Yeah. I think that's what makes a lot of people second guess if they want to do nursing. And even now what we're seeing, I think more so, is junior doctors are now turning around and doing the same. Instagram is full of junior doctors just being like, I can't.
They don't pursue.
No. Yeah. And it's a shame. And I definitely can empathise with them. But ICU nursing for me was just something that I really thought made me feel autonomous and made me feel like a nurse, the nurse that I wanted to be, someone that is there at the forefront of care and giving quality care and compassion to families and patients.
So how do you deal with that sort of, not daily or weekly, the loss? So seeing so much loss. Because walk me through like your day. I was reading on your page, you would be introduced to a client who's already like passed out or in ICU or in critical care. So, and then you'd have to look after this person until either they pass or survive.
Yeah.
So that's quite an intense moment with this person, and you don't
Yeah.
really get the opportunity to converse with them, but you still make this incredible connection. So it's like deep.
Yeah, it's really deep, and I think that's what it's like when you go for a shift. It's 12 hours, 13 hours long, and you go into that room and you take the handover, and as soon as the door closes from the night nurse leaving or the day nurse leaving, you're with that patient. 8 times out of 10, they'll be intubated, we call it, with a tube in their throat and ventilated, which means that they'll be under some sort of medical sedation, asleep. And if they're not, then maybe they're not themselves. They can be confused and they can have other things which are amiss, or they're just waiting to be stepped down to another part of the unit where they need less care. Intensive care is 1-to-1. It's critical, and it means that every hour things can change, and within that hour, if someone passes away, if they are deteriorating to a point that we are unable to reverse those causes, then it can be a difficult shift. Yeah.
And how do you like sort of decompartmentalize that?
Yeah, I think that I've been a nurse now for 7 years, an ICU nurse for 5. I definitely in COVID used training way more than I'd ever done before. And that's actually where I sort of started doing the CrossFit Nurse and talking way more about my feelings, because honestly, I always felt, I want to say difficult, but it's not. I always felt this deep sense of like loss or something when I lost a patient, even if I wasn't in ICU. And when you then step into an area where it's more prominent and the things that you see, even if they're not death, we prolong life through machines, and we put the body and the person through so many things to try and save their life.
Yeah.
And that's not always good. You know, I think that's one thing. When you say try anything, we want you to do anything, sometimes as ICU nurses, it can really strike you hard, because you know that, like, we will try everything. But that person, like, you know, they may not make it, but they may. But
do you get some cases where they make it, but they end up like a vegetable, like, and then you've saved them, but have you really saved them?
Yeah.
You know? But I guess that's on the call of the family at the time.
Yeah, it's on the call of the family. It's on the call of, like, the consultant in charge of the ICU. It can be multifactorial, but at the end of the day, your job is to preserve the life. And this is what we talk about, quality of life, and why it means so much to me. Quality of life is life. That living, being able, and like, when I started my coping mechanisms of the CrossFit Nurse after COVID, during COVID, sorry, because for me and for many healthcare professionals, COVID didn't last just 1 year of lockdown or 6 months of lockdown. It lasted 2 years of in and out of waves and in and out of seeing lots of things. And we're ECMO specialists at my hospital, so we took a lot of the very, very sick patients, those patients that would otherwise be dead in a normal hospital, in a normal ICU. We take them and we try and really work on them. That means that they're very young. They classify for this ECMO, which is extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. It's a life-saving bridge to treatment.
Yeah.
It's like does the job of the heart and the lungs.
So what's the illness they're coming in with?
So they come in, especially in COVID, they come in with ARDS, which is acute respiratory distress syndrome. It's when your lungs get so like tired and they're full of rubbish and they can't perform the job of the lungs anymore. They can't perfuse. They can't do the gas exchange. They become hard, so they can't really you can't breathe very well.
What causes that?
Flu, pneumonias, COVID, viral viral.
Is that normally, is that
bacteria.
generally older people, or is it young
No.
as well? Okay.
Yeah, it's young. And especially at our hospital, you have to have it's like, you have to fit a criteria to have ECMO. You have to be fit enough to withstand the treatment of ECMO alone. It can cause you to obviously pass away, and it's set to be put on the machine.
Your immune system needs to be at a certain level.
You have to have a certain degree of like health before it being put on.
Yeah.
Else it'll be futile, there's no point. And I definitely think that seeing people who are in ICU in general, but in COVID, it was just really every day. It was just the ages of people, very young. It was being there all the time that I just thought, I'm going to go, I don't know, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah. Well, that's...
And the only thing that I could do was train. I used to get home from a shift, bearing in mind I work in West London and I live in East London. Get home from a shift and I would get home at like 9.
Yeah, it's like a 45-minute to an hour travel.
Yeah, 9:30, and I'd either go on a 3K run. And when I say a 3K run, it was not an easy pace. It was like a warm up, like
sprints almost.
Sprint, yeah. And every kilometer I'd push harder and harder, so I didn't have to feel, I didn't have to think what was in my mind. And
You're
then I'd
exhausting the
start,
mind through exercise. Yeah.
And then I'd start my session. I had an assault bike at home, and it sort of became my thing. I would get on my assault bike, which is this like horrible machine that CrossFitt's love, the devil bike, and I love it. I love the bike, and I used to sit on it every day.
So tell me why you love it so much. Is it because it pushes you to... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
It hurts, and I would do sessions, and then obviously in lockdown we were limited on like what we had, but I was so lucky. I got my assault bike, I paid for it myself, which I honestly nearly bankrupted myself because, that's the salaries and everything. We don't get paid very much. The bike was an investment.
Right.
So I got this bike, and I got a barbell, and then brands started sending me things because I started doing these crazy workouts. And when I said like, oh my God, it's so cold this evening, it's like really cold. I used to be outside doing like deadlifts and burpees over my bar and cleans and all of these crazy CrossFit in my garden. And my neighbour used to be like watching me like...
And was this also at like 10 p.m?
Excuse me. Yeah, I'd be out there. I'd be out in the dark, and I had like a security like garden light, and sometimes it would like not sense me anymore, and I'd like wave at it, and it would like come back on again. I'd be like, yes.
I know what you're talking about.
It was it was just nuts.
Yeah.
Like, but it just made me feel better. Like, you can't describe, and even now, even today, how I train with this like mindset that one day I won't be able to take a breath and breathe how I do right now. One day I may not be able to like blink for myself. I may not be able to like move my own fingers or extend my arm, and I cannot even like be able to turn myself. But until that day, until I'm unable, I will do the best for my body. And I think that in those early stages of training, I sort of took that mantra a little bit too much. Like, I would not want to rest. I would want to push. And that's not healthy, number one. But I then really, I became a CrossFit coach 2 years ago.
Okay.
So I actually started coaching, and I was doing the level 1, and it talks about cardiovascular health and well-being, and the whole mantra of CrossFit methodology is about preserving your health and movement so that when you are older, you can use what CrossFit teaches you in your later life. You can sit on a chair and you can get off of a chair. You can hopefully get off of the floor, or you can carry your shopping in a safe way and a way that's going to enhance you on a personal level and through your health and well-being. There's like a curve, you call it like the fitness wellness curve.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're on the peak of that curve, professional elite athletes, their health will also be on that, like a cliff.
On the peak.
Yeah. Wellness is not elite. Wellness sits in the middle. You have to have balance.
Yeah.
And with being a cardiothoracic intensive care nurse, I love my title. I can't lie to you.
And it's so interesting because I want to go back to a question I wanted to ask you earlier. The cardiovascular, you know, what can we do to prevent ending up in hospital with a cardiovascular issue? And let me ask that question before the second question.
So cardiovascular health is all about, your heart is a muscle, right? Your heart is a muscle. It needs a certain amount of training. It needs to be pumping efficiently. It needs to be providing your body with all the oxygen, with the blood. It's working all the time. So cardiovascular health should be at the forefront of everyone's agenda.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's something that, it's the one thing that can't go wrong. And so many people don't actually acknowledge that it can go wrong.
Yeah.
And when it goes wrong quickly, and it goes wrong in the worst way. It's like, I was fitting well and now I can't walk over there without being breathless, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or he was fine and then he had a heart attack, or something happened. So cardiovascular health is and should be everyone's priority. How we do that is movement, exercise, but also exercise can cause great stress on the heart.
Because I was going to say, is CrossFit's pushing it like hard most of the time. Is that pushing the heart rate as high as possible all the time? Is that more beneficial than it is, for example, I do a 4-hour ride. The heart rate's pretty low. It's working, but it's like working at like 140, like zone 2 type.
Yeah.
Like which one is better if not, or do they just work for different parts of the heart?
I would definitely say that different types of training is beneficial for us and our energy systems and what that does to our bodies and how that affects cardiovascular load and your cardiac output and you know, exercise is meant to increase your cardiac output, which is good. Over time, if you are pushing your heart to an extent that it's stressed and your heart is always under high pressure, so maybe people who live healthy lives and eat well and they don't have high levels of cholesterol and they have good diets and they sleep well and all these things that reduce your blood pressure in general, you want to make sure that you are doing all of these things so that your heart health is good.
Do you fear that you're ever pushing it too hard with your CrossFit?
I don't currently. I feel
age.
like my age. I feel like I have good knowledge of my of myself and my body to ensure that I train different zones all the time. I think that it's an illusion of CrossFit that we do heavy, hard, intense workouts.
Yeah, because just like he said outside, he said injury. It was like the first thing that came to mind when
it's crazy.
Mentioned CrossFit. Yeah.
It's like, but CrossFit and proper CrossFit methodology and what we try and teach as coaches and things is that you don't need to do all of this stuff. You have to learn how to move in the right way with the correct technique to prevent injury and to prevent self-injury. You're meant to be training to be well, like not training to put yourself into an early grave.
Yeah.
So it definitely depends on what
Yeah.
style of training you do, and having that understanding. Yes, if it's your job, and in any elite athlete's life, there will be a point where they push hard, and maybe that'll have repercussions on their health, whether it be their kidneys, their heart, everything. And I think that's just self-awareness.
Yeah,
they have teams of people, medical professionals that will testing these things. And
100%. And we talk about this a lot because we idolize these professionals that do it as a full-time job.
Yeah.
And then we try and do it as a full-time job when we have our own 9 to 5. So we have the double stress of the training and a normal work life that can really put you out of balance, and then you can burn out quite easily.
Yeah.
And we also have all these from an aesthetics point of view, looking at social media, all these people with these six packs, but behind the scene, they actually have eating disorders or, major issues. But we follow what we see, and then we try and keep up, and that kind of causes the burnout.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I've suffered burnout from overtraining and underfueling and overworking and having just such a bad load on my mental health and well-being that I just had to be like, I don't know what's working. Like, nothing is working. I'm reevaluating how I train and how I live and everything. I think it's having knowledge and understanding of your own ability, your own capacities, and knowing that more isn't better.
Yeah.
It's
a hard one.
Yeah, it's so hard because it's like getting up at 5 a.m. every day.
Do you?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I am a nurse.
Right,
I've done night shifts.
Right,
when I see 5 a.m., it's a bad sign. It's either I'm getting up to go to work or I've had to do a night shift and I'm all the way through. No, I am an evening training sort of gal.
Yeah.
I find being fully fueled and rested fully for me is. I work better in the evening.
But do you not struggle to sleep? Because sometimes when I exercise in the evening, then my heart rate kind of stays a bit high.
So also, I think the luxury of being a nurse is that you get to. I work shifts, right? So I can train, and I train usually in the daytime. So like 11 o'clock until like 5 is ideal.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, I have trained in the evening. Say for example,
you train from 11 to 5.
I would train like a small morning session, like cardiovascular stuff, like maybe a run, some machines.
So you spend hours in the gym on the daily?
But not constantly training. I think that
you hang out there. It's like your community thing. Yeah.
I practice my Portuguese.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm working. I do my bits from there. I just find that I'm a real person who loves being around people and I like having that hub, and I just enjoy seeing people and watching them train and seeing them and helping them. And then when it comes to me training, it's like I train for like maybe an hour, 2 hours in stints.
Yeah.
And I feel like it works well for me. I used to train for longer and alone. And that's where I really knew, what am I doing?
Yeah. How did you pull yourself out of that burnout?
I went to Australia.
Did you? Okay.
Just for a holiday. No, I took some real time. I started therapy because I worked through COVID. I had a lot of internal and things at myself that I was sort of like pushing down and battling. I had a difficult childhood. I was raised by my dad, by the real MVP, and he raised me alone with my sister. And so that came with its own things, I've never come from a place where I've not been told, you can take it easy and I've always had this whole work hard, you work for everything. You can't just sit there and expect things to come to you. You have to put in the effort. You have to try. You have to show that you're able to do things and you're keen to do things, and that really sets a mantra within you that I think that failure can be quite difficult if you're not seen to be doing enough or trying enough or putting in the most hours or doing all of this stuff. Then am I doing it wrong?
Yeah.
Am I going to fail? Is it going to be my fault? And I think I struggled with that a lot, and that all of that together sort of contributed to my burnout, but mostly working through COVID, how much I pushed, and I sort of never really saw like the out of it. I was getting constantly ill, which I am a little bit now, but you know, that's a seasonal thing. I was constantly getting ill, though I'd recover, I would get sick again, I would be off work.
Your body was under too much stress.
Yeah, I would be getting at trouble at work because in the NHS you're not allowed to be sick. You are. But it comes with HR meetings, which are stressful.
Yeah.
Like, for genuine sicknesses and you know, feeling like I once went in for a shift because I knew if I called in sick, I would be like called up for my third meeting or like with HR, whatever it was. And I was sick on the floor of our ICU. Yeah. That's awful.
Yeah.
Puts patients at risk.
Yeah.
Puts me at risk. Like, you know, it's just this whole, I think, yeah. And I think that it really did contribute to my whole burnout. So I took 4 months off.
From even exercise?
From the NHS. And I took 4 months off from my usual routine of exercise, yeah. Like...
Yeah, we did a similar thing. I did 3 months. I had a burnout. Started therapy, the whole thing as well. And you just got to remove yourself from all the factors, I guess.
Yeah. Even I found it hard to... And I think that what I'm finding, even at the moment, I always have to sort of check in with myself and remind myself, I built like my identity as like the CrossFit Nurse through COVID and through people watching me train and push through like these mental battles and the day-to-day of doing a 12-hour shift into training. Oh my God, how are you doing this? I did it because I honestly didn't know what else I could do.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to be so exhausted that I just went to sleep, not having to relive what I see. Using my training as a source of, like, it did save my life, I think. CrossFit, the training, the methodology, the community, it saved me from, you know, before, I think, being a student in London, you go out, you have drinks, you, like, participate in things, and you live the life.
Yeah.
And I think that can be it can be addictive.
Yeah.
And I think that instead I found my addiction, which was my training and my health, and then learning how I could help others. Because if I'm feeling this way, other people are going to feel this way, especially nurses, especially people who feel suffocated. Like, you get told as a nurse, you can't go out on your breaks, you can't go anywhere, you can't leave the hospital, whereas people are going for runs and physios get to go for their runs. Why can't we go for our, like, why can't I go outside?
Yeah.
Why can't I maintain routine? It's because I do shifts like night, day, night. I'm exhausted. Why am I eating well? Because we don't have time.
You're busy, yeah.
And you are exhausted. You commute, and then on top of that, a lot of nurses have families and kids, and I just think that the setup for nurses is you give so much time caring for others, and you do not care for yourself.
Yeah. So how do we change that?
We create awareness. You change the narrative. And I think that doesn't mean a lot of people would be like, I can earn more through doing social media, and I'm going to just tell nurses how to, if they quit, they can have a better life. It's not the case. Not always. Like, you can reduce your hours. That's what I've done. I reduced my hours. It's the best thing I've ever done. I went part-time.
And they don't mind. I mean, it's just, it's up to you, really, yeah?
They mind.
Okay. Yeah, they need as much as they can get.
I think they mind.
Yeah.
I think that, honestly, it's really down to you proving that you can work a better way, that you can be more present,
efficient,
more happy, you can give yourself to those hours that you're at the hospital, and that you're improving yourself in those times that you work. I've never had a problem at working. It's always been outside of work and getting sick and not being able to cope with other things. And I think that you have to be able to think about it financially as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes doing nursing and then adding all the bank shifts up and anything extra. So bank is that you get paid to do an extra shift with like an agency and you get paid more.
Oh, wow.
So say you went part-time and then you did like a bank shift. You may get paid, if you work it out, more than you would get paid for being a full-time nurse within the NHS. But, you know, sometimes I think that nurses are so skilled. We are so skilled. We're able to facilitate things, save lives, be with people, talk to people, expand. Like, do something that you feel passionate about as well as doing nursing. If you just love being a full-time nurse, that's great. Like, honestly, hats off. But a lot of nurses struggle with just the full-time nursing. So I think that you can do, I'm a full-time, I'm a part-time ICU nurse, and I am a CrossFit coach.
Yeah.
And a content creator, okay? Like, I love it. I love the opportunities I get. And if I wasn't a content creator, I'd do something else. Like, I would try to use my skills, do something else, help other people in a different way.
Yeah. I'm 100% thinking the same way because I work in finance, 9 to 5, office, desk, screen, you know, every day, Monday to Friday. And this podcast has actually given us quite a lot of something else to work towards. And in line with the podcast started as just a podcast, but now it's all the events and now it's the networking and all these. Now we're just pushing ourselves to do bigger and better events every year. And so that's come from it as well. And it's given us something to work towards outside of your 9 to 5.
Yeah. And
that's become so important to me that I'm almost working too hard on the one and the other.
Yeah, be careful you get sick. but I think that's the thing.
So important, yeah.
It's so important. And I started a level 3 PT qualification last year, and I'm still competing it because things happen and life happens. And but I've done this with like an open, you know, with Leap Academy, who I'm really lucky to actually work with as well. So I'm honestly giving my honest feedback while doing the course, something that's going to better me and enable me to do something that I really want to start doing, which is...
Would you ever give up the nursing? So I would give up the finance in a second. It's a little different though.
Yes. I think there will become a point where I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I love being a nurse. Like, I save people's lives, and not a lot of people can say that. I use my knowledge, my skills. Because
sometimes you get like super pressure where it's, in that moment you have to do X to save that person's life.
Yeah. Whenever someone loses cardiac output, imagine I'm in a room on my own with this person. They have 0 on their heart rate. Their chest is not moving, or their blood pressure is tanking, and you have seconds, minutes to start to do something. You're the only person in that room. You call for help. You start doing what you know to do to save someone's life. Whilst you're doing that, you're telling the consultant that's come in, the doctors that have come in, this person has lost cardiac output, they had an arrhythmia, now I've given X, I've given Y, let's start. And then we all start, we work as a team, and we go and we save this person's life. Hopefully we save them. And I think that's
immense pressure,
Yeah, it's immense pressure. And it's something that you cannot come home to talk
about.
talk about.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the last
even
thing
if I've had a good day, it's like, yeah, I've had a good day. Or like, I could have a good day. I could have a bad day. My bad days are like,
Really
someone
bad.
died.
Yeah.
I spent an hour and a half wrapping their body,
Yeah.
doing last office. Have you ever
I can't even.
wiped
I don't think
like?
I don't even think I've seen a dead body. I think my granny when I was like 6.
And it's not just what you've done; it's the smells,
Oh yeah.
the sounds. Like, yeah, and I think that training after those days is the best
Yeah.
because
You just release.
it's a release. And coaching on those, knowing for me that I didn't have to go back the next day to do a shift. Instead, I could actually go and coach people,
Yeah.
give life to people. That's pretty amazing.
I think it's quite. It works in different ways. Like it's super hard to be the nurse and to see all these things, but it gives you such a good perspective on life. And you were talking about
Yeah.
earlier how one day you might not be able to stand up or
Yeah.
breathe correctly, but you see those moments. So like it lives in the back of your head when you now being able. It's like even that little bit more special.
Yeah.
We need to like take a walk through like a ward one day just to like
Yeah.
get it imprinted in our mind,
I wish that I could bring the people I love to work with me
just to show
just
them.
sometime.
Yeah.
And I like the name of your podcast, Diet Starts Monday. I love it because we're always like, we'll start on Monday. What if Monday doesn't come?
Yeah. Dude.
Because someone tonight, and this is like real, I think that like Diet Starts on Monday, we can start at whatever we want to do. We can start when we say we want to start it. And you always feel better for like giving it a go. And I think that that's something that is a shame because I hear so often, I nurse people, and usually it's not the person speaking anymore. Of course, it's their friends, it's their loved ones, their family saying, oh, she or he would love they wanted to do this, they wanted to go there.
Yeah.
Well, now they can't. Or they will, but maybe they will be changed forever. Because, yeah.
Yeah, Joe Rogan said it the best. I don't know if I'm going to get this right, but when you die and you look in the mirror, don't see what you could have been. It's a deep one, but it's
so deep.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, and you never really, I don't think you ever recognize the role that you play within someone's life. Like, especially for me, I think I have a deep root of like imposter syndrome even now. Some things that I want to start and I want to do, I think no one will really want to listen, or no one will want to, I'm not this good enough to do this, or I'm not that good enough to do that.
But you got to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, someone will listen. Someone will be like, oh, yeah, I want to try that, or 100%. I want to go there.
Yeah.
Or, you don't know the impact that you have in someone's life until they tell you, or a family member of theirs tells you. And I think that
if you're helping one person, then you're helping more than someone else.
Yeah. And I think this is what I'm gearing up to. I'm like I said at the start of the podcast, I'm 30 this year. And there's something that I really want to do for myself is like, I really want to be able to say, I'm Olivia Tompkins, CrossFit Nurse. I am an ICU nurse, but I'm also a CrossFit coach. I'm a PT, and I specialise in helping people who have had cardiovascular illnesses or surgeries, and give them the confidence to go back and start doing something, to live again.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I want to set up something that's going to be a little bit off topic because I'm just worried about time. We're going to do a content creation thing, you and I, another day. And it's going to be the CrossFit versus the triathlete. And we're going to set up, like some stages. And it's like you have a team of 3 or 5. I can maybe get 5 together. And we compete against each other like on a field.
I like it.
And you set up like 3 exercises, and we'll set up 3 exercises.
Okay.
And then we'll have like a
We're
go.
going to do it. Do you know, I just want to put it out there that this competition at the weekend at SID, Strength and Depth, me and one of my Sid, me and
Which WODs did you have?
we had one WOD which you triathletes would have loved, you endurance athletes. It was 14 minutes on either the bike, the row, or the ski erg, and then you had 1 minute rest, and then you went for 7 minutes on the machine you didn't do, the 14 minutes on, and then you went for 1 minute rest, and then it would be 7 minutes on the last machine that you hadn't done. So it was a team of 6 people.
I still think we would die because that's still high heart rate.
Yeah, you would.
That's like high intense.
And I just want to put it out there, I did the 14 minutes on the rower, and I gave my life, and we won.
Oh, nice.
On a field of like, there was like 18 teams, and we came first for that row. I don't know what our colleagues did afterwards on that rower, but they didn't keep the win. But that's not my concern, because I averaged a 1:39 on the rower per 500 meters.
That's gone over my head, but I will row and find out what that's like.
Yeah.
Because it was Jamie that told me that strong triathletes would do well on high rocks.
Yes.
So that ignited a fire
It's true.
in my...
And I just want to put it out there, just in case earlier I gave off the intention that I don't like high rocks. I think high rocks is great. I think all forms of training are amazing. Honestly, being a CrossFitter...
Why don't you like high rocks?
I've done high rocks. I did it very well in an hour and 6 minutes, everyone.
Okay, that's nice.
It is very good.
Yeah.
With Jamie, who's very good at running. Jamie, who did 80% of the stations, and I just ran as fast as I could, and did like a few rows, wall balls. I thought it was really fun. It was a great race. I think it's the same, and I think that's why CrossFitters probably find it a little bit tedious. Like, it's the same stations and not
no
that varied.
Diversity.
Yeah, but it's amazing for people who are strong endurance athletes who don't really want to mess around with doing gymnastics or strong weightlifting and learning technique and all that stuff. They just want to move and shift a bit of weight via the sleds.
It's like a nice combination of both, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that I love it because even my sister, shout out to Olivia Tompkins, hi. I've actually never shouted her out on anything. I'm
glad we got that in.
She has started, and no joke, she started going to the gym. She got a personal trainer, and she is gearing up towards her first high rocks. And when I say I never thought I'd ever have to do a sporting event with my sister, it's probably going to happen. Like, no. That was an incredible time. It was an incredible time.
Okay.
I would love to do something like that with my sister, and I think that's what High Rocks opens. It opens like this bridge to level between like high like CrossFit, which is high level, scalable to all people. Everyone can do CrossFit. Your nan, your mum, your dad.
It doesn't look like it though.
They can.
Do you know we were talking about it earlier, like it's quite daunting.
They can.
Like, how can my mom do the...
What's your mum's name?
Alison.
Alison, I'll be like, hello, Alison, I'm Liv, I'm your coach. We're going to get in with the barbell today. Don't worry. All we're going to do is some technique work. We're just going to work with an empty barbell.
What's it called when you jack it up?
It's clean and jerk.
Clean and jerk, that's it.
Alison's going to clean and jerk, and she's gonna be a beast. And then you'll be scared of your mum.
I would be. No, but also my partner, Lauren, she's quite small and petite. So to do a high rocks together, I'd be worried that because the weights are the same, right, for both female and male. So she wouldn't be able to lunge 12 kgs. Is it 12?
Okay, but that's... Who says Lauren can't, you know? Well, Lauren's going to train, and she's going to...
I'm going to send Lauren to you.
Yeah,
and then...
honestly. I think that training in general, if you train the right way, you're not just like, it's great to run, it's great to be able to cycle, it's great to swim. Swimming is my weakest point ever. That's why I would never do a triathlon, because I think that looking at women now and having that deep sense of pride, because that's what I get. I'm like, I'm such a woman's woman. Honestly, any woman that can pick up anything and
I didn't mean to pick my
say...
mom and my partner out because they were
No,
women.
you didn't.
As much as it's
Edit. Any woman that can pick up like weight, even their body build, like petite women, it is hard for them to shift big weights, 100%. But it doesn't mean they can't, and they can train towards it. And I think that's the best thing. And to train towards it, especially for like people that are thinking, oh, I'm not built that way, I don't look that way. You don't have to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like there's so many things that make us feel so empowered as women. And I think being able to do things and having people be like, whoa, okay, here we go.
And that's what you were talking about earlier, I think, is what's so nice about CrossFit is the older generation, you know, you see so many of them so weak and not being able to do certain things. And my mom's quite strong, she's fit and she does so much sport, but nothing upper body, I guess. So that's like the first thing with CrossFit, like I can't imagine her picking up a barbell, you know. But like it's important because to keep the muscles going through the older generation, and as you get older, that's what's key.
100%.
And it starts young as well. Yeah.
Like arthritis, osteoporosis, it's so, if you don't use your muscles and put stress on bones, then your bones like disintegrate. Yeah, they degenerate. Like that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So like, and bringing it back to like the hospital stuff, we don't just deal with people like, you know, dying in ICU. We have people who we have serious cardiac surgeries. After that surgery, if they are awake and we take that tube out, what do you think the first thing we say to them is? Imagine you just gone for a 12-hour operation day before. Come on then, up we get. Let's go. We get you moving. We get you up and about because being stationary, being still is the worst thing for your body. Yeah. Worst thing for your cardiovascular health, worst thing for your skeletal health. You have to move. We are built to move. Like, and that's, I think, what people need to like understand. Movement is never bad. I mean, if you need to rest, then but like, it should be encouraged. It doesn't matter, you know, who you are, what you look like, but being able to do like an event with like my sister or your mum or like, it's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah. Okay, so we're running over time. We have to bring it to an end, but I could honestly keep going for hours. But the last question, we asked this to all guests at the end of the podcast. It's just basically, what is your key message to our listeners to keep them motivated and inspired to keep going?
Oh, this could get deep. Okay. My key message is that movement is medicine. It's so easy to take health for granted, and we take for granted every day that we can just swing our legs over the bed and stand up and take that nice breath and do our day-to-day activities, and even more for granted that we can push our bodies to the peak of physical fitness, and we look down at ourselves and have the cheek, which I do as well, to be like, I don't like X about myself or Y about myself. If you've got all working limbs, you can breathe, you can blink, you can do all these things. Appreciate what your body can do. Move your body. Make sure that you're fueling your body in the right way. And just feed your life. Make sure that you live every day, because you don't know what tomorrow will bring. You don't know what an hour could bring. So I think that's the biggest thing. Movement is medicine, guys.
Perfect.
Look after yourself.
Thank you so much.
That make sure perfect. You don't see me in the ICU.
That was amazing. No, thank you. That was amazing. I didn't even get, we spoke, so that was perfect. That's it. Done.